This is my comprehensive list of different ways that I've heard from Uber drivers on how to make the most amount of money. I will rank all 115 for you right here, right now on my own S tier ranking. Let's jump into it. Know your numbers. I hear drivers talking about this all the time. I'm the type of driver that says, know your numbers. But the question is, if you know all of your numbers, like how much money you make per minute, per mile, how much your fuel costs are, if you know all of your numbers, are you going to make the most amount of money? Let me rank it here. I'm going to rank know your numbers as a B tier. It's good, but it's not the best. Let's get into the next thing. If I had a nickel for every time I heard a driver say they want to form a union, I'd have a lot of money. Yes, forming a union could help drivers in protection, some sort of benefits, but the question is, will it make you the most amount of money? I don't think so. In fact, I think it's a really bad way to make the most amount of money. Is it a steady income? Yes. But is it the most amount of money? I don't think so. Let's rank it right here. I think forming a union is probably going to go down here into D tier because you're going to get some benefits. It's not bad, but it's definitely not the way to make the most amount of money. Maximizing your profitability per mile is a very good way to make money. That's why GigU is a sponsor of this channel. And with the GigU app, you can estimate your cost per mile on every single trip and your revenue and your profitability per mile on every single trip. Is it the best way to make money? I love GigU. I use it all the time. They are a sponsor, but I'm going to put maximizing your profitability per mile up here. The reason why I don't rank profitability per mile as an S tier is because you could go out and earn $100 driving 1 mile, but we need to measure all of our time also. So it's a good metric. It's important, but it's an A tier. Having some entertainment in the car. Yes, something like a tablet, some sort of light system, entertaining the passengers. Yeah. When you are an Uber driver on a college campus, or maybe you're in Las Vegas and people want to go out and party all the time, that can be a fun way to make some extra money. But the problem is not every single passenger wants entertainment. Some of them just want a quiet ride. That is a challenge. I'm going to put this entertainment in the B tier. At least being cognizant of entertaining your passengers can't be a bad thing. Renting a car instead of driving your own car as a way to make money. Renting a car is more expensive, but renting a car is a great short-term stopgap until you can afford your own vehicle. It's a great way to also lower your risk. When you're driving your own car, there's a lot of other risks that you're taking on. Renting a car as a way to make money is C tier. In the short run, it can be B or even A. In the long run, it's D or F. Going off app on rides is a way to make money, but it's also a way to put yourself in a lot of trouble. Most drivers are not insured for this, and passengers get frustrated when you pull up and you start trying to negotiate after they've already settled on a price. I think this is F tier. I do not like this as a way to make money in the long run because it'll just get you kicked off the app. Having treats in your car for your passengers as a way to make money, probably earn more in tips. But the problem is with treats is you have to keep buying them and there's no guarantee that the passengers will tip you. I think having treats in your car is a D tier type of way to make money. Avoiding bad destinations. That's pretty savvy as a way to make money. A bad destination, there's a couple of different ways to qualify, but the way I'm going to accept a bad destination means that the definition might be something like a place that takes me away from making money. So a bad destination for me could be a great paying ride, but it goes out to the middle of the country on a busy Friday night. I want to stay closer to the downtown area. So I'm going to give bad destinations, avoiding them. I'm going to say avoiding bad destinations as A tier. Definitely a very good way to make money. Conversations with your passengers as a way to make money. This is more along the lines of tips, earning more money in tips. If you can hold a good conversation with your passenger, yes, you are more likely to get a tip. Now, of course, there are downsides. The downsides are that not all passengers want to talk. Another downside might be that you think you're having a conversation, but the passenger isn't having a conversation with you. I've done that many times where I'm talking to a passenger thinking that we're having a conversation, and I glance up and I see them basically on their phone. And you know this when they're talking to you and all you hear them really say is, yeah, It's like they're prompting you to keep talking. So don't talk yourself out of a tip. Conversation and being a good conversationalist, talking when it's time to talk is a good A tier way. If you can talk, that is a good thing to do. A tier. Driving Uber Black. Is that a good way to make money? I'll be honest with you. I don't really know because we don't have Uber Black here in Syracuse. Uber Comfort is the highest tier that we have. There are some XL drivers, but for the most part, it's really just Uber or Uber Comfort. Now, the Uber Black drivers, I've seen them on the internet. They're making a killing in terms of revenue, but they're also driving expensive cars. So drivers, this list is up for you to tell me where I can improve this list. Maybe I might miss something. Uber Black, I'm going to give it an A tier. My assumption is a really good Uber Black driver knows how to manage their costs. I'm going to give that an A tier way to make money as an Uber driver. Selling extra things, bottled water, snacks, chargers, having things in your car to sell as a way to make more money. I think this is a horrible idea. The reason why I say that is you have to have an inventory of things, which seems to me really difficult to do. And then on top of having an inventory of things, you have to then sell it at an airline. When you go take a flight, you don't want to have to pay for the water. You think water should be free. So yeah, selling extra, F tier. Tracking your data as a way to make more money. The difference is tracking your data means that you're actually taking a look at your data, your numbers, and not only knowing them, but analyzing them and making some sort of report out of it. I do it a lot. I'm an accountant. I like spreadsheets, but I also make money producing videos, right? There are times I don't want to track data and I feel like I know how to make more money. So I'm going to put tracking your data in some sort of spreadsheet, some sort of app as a B tier type of thing. It is good. It can help, but it is not the most important thing. I need to randomly draw some sort of S tier thing because right now it's just giving me, I created this random list. I randomized the list. I need an S tier thing. So speaking of which, driver referrals as a way to make money. This is clearly an S tier thing because it costs you nothing. I've only done this twice. Twice have I actually had a referral where a driver got in the app, used my referral code and became a driver with Uber. I've made about $700 off of that. And it took just seconds of work. I convinced one DoorDasher to become an Uber driver one time. Driver referrals are great because it's easy profitability, easy money, and it's all profit. It's not like it's really crowding your market. Great way to make money, S tier. Organization rides. When somebody else has some sort of nonprofit that orders rides, you see them for senior citizens as a way to make money. I actually have gotten some good tips, but they pay just like every other ride. If I could, I would probably try to avoid them. I'm going to put org rides down here because most of the time, if somebody else pays for the ride, the person in the car is not going to tip you. Destination filter. I try to use this as often as I can, but what I find is that it just really limits the number of rides that I could. I might miss out on some good rides. I basically only use destination filter when I'm trying to go home at night. It's almost like forcing myself to call it quits. But as a way to make money, I don't think it's a great way to make money, but it's a great way to not want to stay on the app. So I'm going to give it a C tier. Picking up from hotels and resorts. We're talking about nice hotels, nice resorts as a way to make money, i.e. tips. I think this is an S tier type of way to make money because almost every single time I pick up from the 2 or 3 really nice hotels that are around me, I get a tip, earning tips. Great way to make money, S tier on hotels and resorts. If you can find yourself a really good hotel and you're picking up from there, go make your tip. Ooh, policy reform, i.e. getting the government involved. That's going to fix things for drivers. If we can just get the government to solve this, set the rates, whatever it is, we're going to make more money. We've seen policy reform in California, New York, Massachusetts. Ask me if I'm making more or less money now that we've had almost 2 years of minimum wage here in New York. Of course not. I'm not making any more money. Government is not going to solve our ability to make money. It's only going to make things worse. It's worse than a union policy reform. Let's not do it. Take the government out of our business. Let's put it down here in F tier, policy reform. Avoiding other drivers. You pull up into this place and you think you're the only driver, and then there's another driver sitting right there in the parking lot across from you. If you can avoid other drivers, you can make more money. If you can find, in a perfect world, there's a town out there where there's a ton of demand and there are no drivers. That's what you want to find. I'm going to give avoiding other drivers as an A tier thing. Try to not find yourself stacked next to a bunch of other drivers. Uber XL, getting a bigger vehicle, like a minivan. Uber XL is another great way to make money. The drivers around town here in Syracuse with their minivans, they sing praises about it. My only concern with Uber XL is that you have more of a cost. So if you can get a low cost Uber XL vehicle, that might be a really good way to make money. I'm going to put that as an A tier up there with Uber Black. For my EV drivers, people with Teslas or any other electric car, EV charging and minimizing your i.e. charging at home as a way to make money. Yes, if you can charge your electric car at your house or someplace where it's really cheap, it is an amazing way to make money. Not a lot of money, so it's not going to be an S tier type of thing, but you will make more money being a cheap person with charging your car. I'm going to go ahead and put it as a B tier because I know a lot of drivers that don't charge at home and they still make a lot of money. So I'm going to put EV charging as a B tier. Don't charge at a supercharge all the time. Taking long trips as a way to make money. It's really funny. This is a battle that I've seen. I am a short trip kind of guy, but I also do long trips. And every time I post a long trip, somebody will tell me, oh, I hate long trips, only do short trips. And if I post about short trips, they'll say, I only like long trips. Are long trips great ways to make money? Yes, because you can get the biggest amount of money in the shortest amount of time, and it's almost guaranteed. And with long trips, you're going to probably get a tip if you do it right. However, the downside to long trips is you end up somewhere. That's the downside to long trips. Long trips are a B tier to make money. I do them all the time. I like long trips, but you have to watch out if you take a long trip and you might get stuck in the middle of nowhere. Planned shift. As soon as I get done with this video, I have a plan of how I'm going to go out and make money tonight. I've been studying different areas in my market. I'm going to go out there and do a planned shift as a way to make more money. Instead of just turning on the app and let's see what happens, I'm going to go out there with intention and drive. I think a planned shift is a really good way to make money. It's better than just randomly going out there and driving. Planned shift is a very important way to make money. Phone chargers, having phone chargers in your car. I don't know if you're going to make a lot of money off of it. Is it a good thing? Sure. You got to charge your own phone and letting your passengers charge when they want to charge. Sure. But is it a really important way to make money? No, I guess you don't want your own phone to die, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in D tier here. All right. Day of the week, driving on a specific day of the week, like Monday versus Friday. Does that matter in how much money that you can make? Of course it does. Now, there is money to be made 7 days a week because supply and demand is more of a dictative. There's also less drivers on a Monday than there are on a Friday night. But driving when it's busy, which is typically in America at least, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. So I'm going to go ahead and say day of the week is an A tier thing. If you want to make money, go out and drive on a Friday, not a Monday. Picking up trips from the right neighborhood. I'm using the word neighborhood loosely here. That's like a location on a map, finding hotspots. And that is a really good way to make money. The problem is it's not always the best way to make money because there are neighborhoods all across. So it's not like there's one neighborhood, one spot in your city. There could be hundreds of them. So a neighborhood is a good way, and being cognizant and knowledgeable about all of the different locations within your city. So there might be a suburb, there might be a spot near an apartment complex, who knows what it is, but there is a good way to make money in neighborhoods. I'm going to give this a B tier. All right. Airport trips. Is it a good way to make money picking up and dropping off at the airport? The answer is yes. It's a great way to make money because typically passengers traveling are better tippers and you get some sort of priority ride. The downside to airports is sitting in the airport waiting lot, just waiting for rides. There's a lot of cherry pickers and I like cherry picking myself too, but there's a queue. So I'm going to give airport a B tier in terms of making money. Yes, there is the opportunity to earn more in tips, and get higher paying rides, but you have to wait. So you have to manage that. Holidays as a way to make money, driving on a holiday. This is clearly an S tier. Now, there's a downside to driving on holidays. You're not on holiday, but if you want to make the most amount of money, drive on Halloween, Christmas, New Year's, whatever it might be. People are so happy that you're driving on Christmas Day. If you don't want to be at your house and help your children or whoever open up gifts, you just want to go out and drive. Driving on a holiday is a S tier way to make money because a lot of other drivers are taking their time off. S tier holidays. Having other or income, i.e. doing something else as a gig worker, having a secondary income. It's a great way to make money. If you only drive as a gig worker, it can be really stressful, especially like right now during the summertime, it's really slow for me. If this was my only source of income, I'd really be struggling. But so having a secondary income, non-W-2 income, for me, I'm a YouTuber or something like that, it's a great way to make money as a gig worker because now it gives you the flexibility and freedom to go out and make money as a driver when you want to make it. I think I'm going to cut this with that you have to be able to still manage your own schedule. If you have other non-W-2 income, but you can't control your schedule, that could be a problem. Having a lot of active miles, utilization rate. So active miles versus non-active miles. Yeah, it's not a bad way to make money because you're getting paid for those miles as opposed to deadheading. But is it a good way to make money? It depends on how much you're getting paid for those miles. So I'm going to give it a C tier. All right, driving on weekends. Yes, of course. That's a great way to make money. If you plan your shift, you're going to make more money on a Friday and a Saturday versus a Monday or a Tuesday. Typically just more people going out to use Uber, especially on the weekend nights. I'm going to give this a tier way to make money. I got a lot of A tier. I wonder how many B, C, and D, and F tiers I'm going to have here. In-car ads as a way to make money. I envision like the Oculus, that octopus tablet thing, maybe somebody else paying you. You could make more money, but then you have to negotiate it. Does that offset the tip opportunity? In-car ads, if you could do it in a way that Uber accepts, I'm going to give it a C. I don't know much about it, and I don't think I would do it. Having a used car is a much better way to make money. But it just depends on what type of car it is. Just having a straight used car is not necessarily indicative of making more money. So I'm going to put a used car as B. That means if a new car comes along in this list, I'm going to have to give it a C or a D. It depends on the quality of the used car. All right, local knowledge here. Let's see here. Local knowledge, knowing the roads, knowing what the best restaurants are. That's a pretty good way to make some money. And you might earn some more money in tips. But I've driven in places where I've never driven before. I've driven in northern New Jersey a few times, and I don't think it matters that much. It might help a little bit with traffic. 5% pro perk, this new pro rewards, you get 5% extra if you've got at least a 25% acceptance rate. Is it worth it to make money though? No, I don't think so. You do make 5% more, so I can't make it F tier, but it's D tier. It's only 5%, and there's a bunch of different ways you can make up that 5. Literally just have in-car ads, and you can cover that 5% difference. Having private rides as a way to make money. Yes, it is a good way to make money. However, I'm going to not necessarily rank it S tier because there's a couple of caveats. Number one, you have to have the correct insurance. And on top of that, you have to then be available when people call you. You have to schedule it and plan it. It's not as easy as driving for Uber, just turning the app on and going out there. So there's overhead that you're going to have to manage to, a risk of loss of income potentially. I'm going to give private rides as an A tier. Definitely a way to make more money than just turning the app on. The downside would be that you have to plan around it. Having really good map skills, using maybe another app or just kind of navigating around traffic. You can make a buck or two more, but is it the critical way to make the most amount of money? No, I'm going to put this as a D tier. Ooh, depreciation. I'm going to say this is avoiding depreciation on your vehicle. Every car depreciates, but if you get the cheaper car that has more depreciation on it, your car is not going to, when you own it, it's not going to depreciate as much. I'm going to say depreciation is a very big cost. I'm going to give this a B tier. Avoid depreciation as much as possible. B tier in terms of making money. A verified rider, F. Safety matters, but we're talking about making money. And I don't even know if the verified rider thing's actually, I've seen some people with weird names like J as a name become a verified rider, F. No car payment as a way to make money. Yeah, because you're not spending money. When you don't have a car payment, you don't have to spend money. This might be A or S because you can make a car payment and still make money. I've done it. I'm going to go ahead and give it S tier. Yeah, if I didn't have a car payment, that would be the best scenario. I do like it. S tier, no car payment. Great way to make money as an Uber driver. All right, having a W-2 job in addition to being a gig worker. See, the idea is if you have a secondary or third way to make money, then you don't have to depend on Uber. You can only drive when you really want to or when you need to. You can make the most amount of money that way. Now, the downside between a W-2 job and a non-W-2 job, in my mind, is scheduling. W-2 jobs tend to want you during certain schedules. So it just depends. I'm going to give it an A tier because it is definitely a good way to make money as a driver if you have a W-2 job. But if they're scheduling you when you want to go drive, that could be a challenge. Surge chasing as a way to make money. That depends. Surge chasing could be, I see a surge on a map, but it's 20 minutes away and I'm racing to get there. You're never going to get there in time. And I say 20 minutes, could be 5 minutes, whatever it is. Looking at the map and trying to always see where the next surge is going to be. That's an F tier. Surge chasing where you know where the surge is going to be. It isn't there now, but you know where it's going to be. It can be a very good way to make money. If you get caught chasing surges and you never actually get a surge, it's a bad way to make money. I'm going to give it a C tier as a way to make money chasing after surges. Oh, the granddaddy of them all. Here it is. Cherry picking. Cherry picking a good way to make money. I like to cherry pick, i.e. picking out the rides that are going to pay you more is super smart. Yes, of course. However, there are downsides to cherry picking in the sense that this means you have to stay not busy at times. Sometimes you might be sitting there parked, not making any money. We want to maximize your income. So I'm going to give cherry picking, and I like it, an A tier. Oh, a new car as opposed to a used car. Okay, a new car is not a good way to make money. I've had new cars as an Uber driver. It is not a good way to make money because you have a car payment. The car is depreciating really fast. The only benefit to having a new car is people might compliment you on it, but compliments don't always equate to tips. New car is D. Okay, college campus. Uber driving on a college campus as a way to make money. Well, it depends on the college. I think there are college campuses where it's a great way to make money, and then there are college campuses where it's a really bad way to make money. And I think a lot of drivers chase down college campuses, so I'm going to give it a B tier. I do drive a lot on a college campus. It's funny, new car and college campus. Business districts as a way to make money. Staying in a business district, maybe. I'm going to get that up there with college campuses, maybe a little bit less because there's less demand for rides. Districts where there's a lot of white collar workers staying there and camping out. Taking multi-stop rides, one of the main rides every Uber driver tries to avoid. However, I have made a little bit of money this summer doing multi-stops because there's not a lot of rides and I have to take what I can get. I do get paid a little bit to wait. So a lot of this summer I've been sitting on parking waiting for rides. At least at a multi-stop, I'm getting paid, even though it's pennies, a little bit. I'm going to give it a D tier, multi-stop rides. Driving during commute hours. Okay, I like this. That's what I do a lot of times, especially early in the morning. If you can drive during commute hours, it is a good way to make money. Is it a great way to make money? No, I'm going to give it a B. It's in the B tier, commute hours. Having lights in your car. I do have lights in my car. It's kind of like that entertainment thing. Yeah, it might get you a couple of bucks of extra tips sometimes, but it is a D tier thing. You don't need lights in your car to make more money. The best way to make money as a gig worker, as an Uber driver, is just to quit gig work. If you do something else with your time, you can make more money. That's not a horrible idea, but we're talking about gig work. I'm going to give it a D tier. Quitting gig work is a way to make money. You can't quit something to make money, but if you can use your time better, then yeah, do something different. Uber Comfort as a way to make money. A little bit, yeah, but not as much. I drive Uber Comfort all the time. If I play it right, I might get a tip. I get paid a buck or two extra sometimes on the ride according to Uber, but it's not a great way to make money. I would just do Uber X if I could. Consistency as a way to make money. If you're consistent, you will make more money. Consistency, I'm going to give this S tier. If you're consistent with your ability to get out there, do the gig, you will make more money. Having a tablet in your car. I used to have a tablet and it was kind of fun. It's not a bad way to make money. Is it the best way to make money? No, I'm going to put it up there with all right, having a tablet in your car. I'm going to give it C tier. Being signed up for Uber Green, I don't know. I'm going to give that D tier. Driving in seasons during the summer months, for me, it's really slow. I don't make as much money, but during the winter, I definitely make more money because college kids are in town. Is it a way to make money? I think being aware of it is really important. Does it matter? Yeah, don't drive in bad seasons and drive during good seasons. I'm going to just give it a C tier. Being at least aware of it. Dressing nice, dressing appropriately, dressing like a professional. I think if you go in looking like a bum, you're not going to make as much money in tips as opposed to dressing nice. I do think good looking people make more money in tips than ugly people. Being an ugly person myself, I'm kind of jealous. I'm going to give it a C tier. Yeah, dress nice, dress for success. Something really important today, having cheaper fuel costs as a way to make money. If you can get gas cheaper somewhere else, especially fuel costs if you're an EV or whatever, yes, it can help you make more money, but it's not the most critical thing to making money. Obviously, because there are Uber XL drivers that make a lot of money. I'm going to give it B tier, but it's not the most important thing. Maintaining your car as a way to make money. Keep your car really well maintained. It's important. It's kind of like fuel costs. I'm going to give it more importance than fuel cost. I think maintaining your car is much more important than managing the fuel. Getting the correct tires, definitely really important. Taking exclusive trips over Trip Radar. I've done a little bit of research in this. I have found that neither one pays more than the other. So exclusive trips as a way to make money, not taking Trip Radar, I'm going to say it is a D. Doesn't matter. Oh, this is a classic. Treating Uber like a business is a great way to make money. Yeah, it's kind of like knowing your numbers. I'm going to give it A tier. Yes, if you treat anything like a business and you try to maximize your profitability, you're going to do better than not. Having diamond status as a way to make money. It's kind of like pro perk. I'm a diamond driver. I don't recommend it. I'm just a diamond driver because I've been lazy about which trips I'm taking, but I can't cherry pick when there's no rides. So during the summer, I become a diamond driver. During the fall, I become a cherry picker. So diamond status doesn't matter. Being a safe driver as a way to make money. If you are a safe driver, you'll have cheaper insurance in the long run. You will have less maintenance repair costs on your vehicle. Your passengers will be happier. As a long run way of making money, yes, I'm going to be safe driver is up here in A tier. Listening to your passengers. That's a great way to make money. It's a great way to earn tips. This is different than conversation. Conversation means you guys are going back and forth. Being a good listener is completely different. You will hold a good conversation as a good listener, but you'll be paying attention more. I'm going to give this a B tier. Where's conversation? I think it's in the same area. No, conversation's up here. I'm going to switch. I'm going to put listening up here and I'm going to drop conversation down. I'm going to move these around a little bit here. Having a clean car as a way to make money, at least on the inside, sure. But on the outside, it's kind of like maintaining your car. I'm going to give it D tier. It's important to me. I like to keep my car clean, but I don't know if it necessarily helps me make that much more money. Driving in the suburbs as opposed to, let's say, a downtown area as a way to make money. Yeah, it depends. I'm going to give it a B tier because you're being intentional about being a driver. I think driving in the suburbs can help you make more money in contrast to a place that's downtown where it might be really crowded. Setting goals as a way to make money, like the number of trips you're going to do or the least amount of miles, just kind of planning. So setting goals, I'm going to give that B tier. Tip psyops, trying to trick a passenger into tipping you, like schmoozing them. That's completely different. So listening, I put as A tier, conversation as B tier. Tip psyops sounds horrible to me. I think just do a good job and you don't have to trick people into tipping you. All right, I'm going to sound like a hypocrite here because I think EV incentives are a D or F tier in terms of making money, but I did get a $2,000 bonus to buy my Tesla, but I'm going to put it down here in D tier. Low deadhead miles. Yeah, the least amount, if you can drive with people in your car, it is a very good way to make money. But it's more than just that. It's also not just driving around looking for rides too. Low deadhead is definitely A tier. I'm jealous because I live out in the country and I have so many deadhead miles, but yeah, A tier. We just had suburbs. Now we have driving in the city, like a downtown area as a way to make money. It could be a good way to make money. The only downside I think to driving in the city is there's a lot of drivers and quite frankly, there's a lot of traffic too. I'm going to give it the same as suburbs because they're both the same. If it's B tier, then it's B tier, but it means you're thinking about it. And I like that. Short trips as a way to make money. It's better than long trips because it keeps you in the zone. Short trips, and people tip on short trips all the time too. The only reason why I'm not going to give it S tier is because Short trips in some cities in America can be really bad, but for the most part, that's an A tier. Or is it S? I'm going to give it S. I'm going to stick with my guns here. Short trips, definitely S. I'm about to put short trips in between the two. We could put right there. That's kind of like a A plus. Reliability of your car. How reliable is your car as a way to make money? If you have a car that doesn't break down, it's really important. Don't get a crap car, but as a way to make money, C tier. You don't want a broken down car. Just give it a B. Vehicle choice as a way to make money. I don't think it really matters as much as we think to the passengers. Passengers should really just want to ride. A nicer car is more important, but you have cost to it. You could do other tiers if you have the right car. I'm going to give vehicle choice, picking the right vehicle, as C tier. But here's the catch. Do not go and buy a car just for Uber. Buy the car that you like. And if it works well for Uber, great. If it doesn't, that's fine. Large facilities like hospitals, Amazon warehouses, they make some money off of that. When the shift change happens, picking up people, if you know how to plan and time it right, you can make some money picking up people coming out of a big workplace, large facility, like a factory or a hospital or something like that. Using time to make money, especially if you're taking short trips. Bar closing time and short trips combined, I'm going to put that up there because that's so good. That's been my sweet spot for many, many years. Ooh, I like burnout as a to make money. Well, if you kind of crash, not physically crash, but mentally maybe some physically crash, but not crash a car. I mean, avoiding burnout as a way to make money. I'm going to give it C tier. It's kind of got some value to it, but not really critical. You should do that for all your life. That's why I'm not focusing on it just for Uber. It could be for anything. When Trip Radar first came out, we used to think it was like where all the trips went to die, but Trip Radar pays exact same, if not more sometimes than Uber exclusive rides. So Trip Radar is not bad. Wherever Uber exclusive is, I'm going to put it in the same area. Where's Uber exclusive? I'm just going to put it right here. It doesn't really matter. Oh, there it is. Exclusive trips. Let's put it down here. Pickup distance. This is so important. This is definitely an S tier. The shorter the pickup distance, the better you're going to be. You don't want long pickup distances. If you can pick up somebody that's right around the corner versus miles and miles away, it's a great way to make money because almost all the trips are priced based upon the actual trip duration with the passenger in the car, not the pickup distance. So you're eating those costs if you pick up somebody that's really far away. Tax strategy as a way to make money. Well, taxes are very important, but you have to make money to pay taxes. I mean, that's one of the things I learned from some pretty wealthy people. You should have a tax strategy. It matters, but I think it's a C tier thing. You're not going to make a lot of money tax strategy, but you can avoid paying taxes maybe. Surge pricing. This is like S plus in terms of ways to make money. If you can get surges, this is the best way to make money. Surge pricing is super important. All a surge means that you're going to get paid more than you normally would on a ride. So the bigger the surge, the better off you're going to be. And that's why having surges in conjunction with short trips and low pickups, that's why bar closing at night, great ways to make a lot of money. And now I know a lot of drivers are going to tell me, oh, Levi, you're talking about your specific strategy. And that's kind of true. But I think it's more than that. Making the most amount of money in the least amount of time. 4, 5, 6 short trips when the bars are closing at night on the weekend. There's no pickup distance. Surges are going on. It's a great way to make money. There's risk. They're drunk. There's a challenge to it. But we're talking about making money right now. Lowering your insurance costs. Yeah, sure. With taxes. C tier. It's important. You should be aware of it, but it's not going to be critical. It's kind of with knowing your numbers and all the accounting things. Maximizing promos like quests as a way to make money, as long as it doesn't cost you anything else. I'm going to put it B tier. There are times when I really chase promos and quests. You have to just know them. Just don't do dumb things to chase promos. Cutting wait time to make money. I hate waiting for passengers. And I try to cut wait time by texting them that I'm on my way, letting them know that I've arrived. But does it make me more money when it's busy? Sure. When it's not, it doesn't really matter too much. Multi-apping as a way to make money. Yes, multi-apping is a great way to make money. This is up there with S or A tier. I'm going to give it A tier just because the problem with it is you have to be good at it. I'm going to get A tier, S tier. I don't do a very good job as a multi-apper. I try, but I tend to not do a very good job. Because as soon as I accept a ride, that's when the other good rides start coming in. I'm going to give multi-apping S tier because I know you can make more money if you can do DoorDash, Uber, Grubhub, all the other things combined. Driving fast is not a good way to make money. Whatever you think you're saving by getting to and from destinations faster, you're taking such a huge risk. I'm going to say driving fast, and you're not going to be a professional driver. You're not going to be a limousine driver. There might be the occasion when a passenger says, I'll give you tip in the app if you get me there faster, but we know how those are. Limousine driving, being a smooth driver as a way to make money. That's so much better. Great way to make money. Give it B tier. Here's some secret sauce. Rider rating. I think rider rating is a great way to make money because the higher the rate of the passenger, the more likely they are to tip. If you take a bunch of low rated passengers, they tend to have problems. A high rated passenger tends to tip more. 100%. I like high rated passengers. I'm going to give this a tier. Reposition timing. I don't even know what this means. I'm going to delete this off the list. Rural driving out in the country. A lot of you city folk don't understand this, but there are people out in little towns of 500 people or less that take Ubers all the time, and they don't have buses. They don't have any other way to get around. The problem with rural driving is that there are deadhead times or deadhead miles. But the good part about rural driving is that they appreciate the fact that they got a ride. They've been waiting an hour or 2 hours for a ride. You show up, and they are really good tippers. I get a tip on about 2/3, if not 3/4 of all of my rural rides. I'm going to give rural driving, Uber driving, that's a little secret. I'm giving a secret. Rural Uber driving is B tier. Testing new ideas. I believe in surge pricing and short trips. I could be wrong. Always testing new ideas. I never would have figured out rural driving if I didn't try to drive in the rural area. Testing new ideas is a great way to make money. It might cost you a little bit of money because you're trying something new. But if your old way of making money isn't working, always test new ideas. I'm going to give that a B tier. Setting the temperature in your car. Yeah, whatever the passenger wants. I'm amazed that drivers will take passengers and not control the temperature to whatever the passenger wants. I'm going to give it a C tier. Yeah, it matters. It's not a great way to make money, but it matters. So I'm not going to ignore it. Avoiding dead zones. That's why I'm going to read this. Avoiding dead zone. Yeah, that's a great way to make money. If you avoid them, if you get to them, get out of them quick. A dead zone is where you just can't get a ride. It's more important to not drive in dead zones, i.e. some rural areas. So there you go. Picking the correct time of day to go driving. If you drive when there aren't a lot of rides, it's a very important way to make money. Don't go driving in the middle of a Tuesday during the summer and expect to make a lot of money. So picking the correct time of day is important. Having a good area filter. Now, I don't have them. I guess I have them with Lyft, but I've never really used it very well. But it's got to be a really amazing way to make money. I'm going to give this an A tier. Area filters, the more you can have of them, it's got to be better. It's got to be really good. Sitting parked is not a good way to make money. It is if you're cherry picking, but there are times when I start sitting parked and I'm realizing I should have just taken a ride. If you're doing it intentionally, maybe it is a good way to make money, but just sitting parked, you're not going to make any money. All right. Dollar per ride. GigU is a sponsor of this channel. Dollar per ride. I like to know the dollar amount I'm going to make on a ride, but is it important? It depends on what your strategy is. I'm going to give it a B tier because you can make a little bit of money on a ride and a lot of money on a ride, but it's that ride per miles and or per minute. How much money you're going to make per minute. There's another gig app. Within the GigU app, you can take trips and it'll help you cherry pick the rides that will make you the most amount of money per minute, per mile. Per minute is the most important thing. If you can figure out your profitability per minute, that is the most important thing of all. If you can make a lot of money on a ride, but it takes you 10 hours to do it, it makes no money, right? So you have to take it. Interesting. Okay. Legal action as a way to make money. I'm going to say no. People want to sue Uber. Sure. Doesn't mean Uber shouldn't be sued, but it's not a way to make money. F tier. Profitability per ride. Yeah, of course, that matters. It's not the most critical thing, but we're going to put it right up there. Helping with bags as a way to make money, whether it's luggage, groceries. Sure, of course. It doesn't mean you're going to get a tip, but it's good. I'm going to give it B tier. I'm running out of B tier things. This is all my B tier stuff. Reservation way to make money. Yeah, reservations will help you make money. The downside to reservations are getting them at not the correct time. So I love reservations to get me to and from different cities, longer trips at the airport. The downside is you can't have too many of them during the day because then you have a lot of deadhead time that you can't even multi-app really well. So I'm going to say reservations are B tier. I do a lot of reservations. It's not a horrible way to make money, but not the greatest. Return trips. If you get a long trip and get a return trip back, that is epically good. Not like you can plan them though. So I'm going to give it A tier just because it could be lucky. You get a reservation to one place and then a reservation back. A tier. Return trips. The Uber Pro card as a way to make money. Maybe. I don't have it. I know some people love it. I'm not going to horribly rank it. I'll give it a C tier. Vehicle efficiency. Yeah, as a way to make money, you don't want a car that's going to cost you a lot of money. So the cheapest cost per mile is the best way to go. I'm going to give this a B tier. Got a few more left here. This one's interesting. Music selection. I'm a believer in tips, and I think music does matter. But will it make you more or less money? It depends. If the passenger asks for music, always switch to whatever the selection that the passenger wants. But it's probably not the most important thing. I'm going to give it C tier. Special events, when there's a concert or a football game, I think you can do one ride. We've had concerts here in Syracuse where I take people to the concert. It's a highly paying reservation. Like we just had Fish in town, and I just put the Fish music playlist on, and I did get a couple of good tips. But is it a great way to make money? Nah, I'm going to give it B tier. You can also avoid them. I think that's another strategy, is instead of driving to the special event, actually avoiding going to another location where the special event isn't. You might find a spot where there aren't a lot of drivers. Having emotional control, that's a good thing. Is it a good way to make money? Sure, because if you lose control, a lot of things could happen negatively. But in terms of this ranking list, I'm going to give it a C tier. Well, let's give it B. It matters a lot in life. Emotional control. That's an important thing, not just for Uber driving. But is it going to help us make more money as an Uber driver on the next ride? Maybe. Uber's heat maps, not the surge map, their heat map or whatever. Is it a good way to make money? I don't even look at it. So I'm going to give it F tier. I don't know if it even matters. Staying near demand, avoiding the rural areas, using the heat map. If you know where demand is or where it's going to be, that's critical to making money. I'm going to give that an A tier. You don't want to be where there aren't any people looking for rides. Pretty obvious. Ooh, driving in bad weather. Yeah, that's a great way to make money, but it's a risk. But when there's bad weather, people are looking for rides. I'm going to give it A tier, right up here. Being patient, having the discipline to reject poor paying rides, knowing what's going on within your market, being patient, that's going to be between A and B tier. Sergio always gives that advice, and he's a smart guy. So I'm going to put that right there. Vehicle age. I wonder if that means newer technology. I love my Tesla, and it does help me out a lot. Does it matter a lot? No, I think a nice, comfortable ride. If I can get like 1990s classic, soft suspension car, that'd be cool. One of those old taxi limousines. Keep learning. We talked about dead time between rides. I like to read books. I like to listen to podcasts. You want to make more money as an Uber driver, continual learning. Sometimes I want to veg out, but I'm going to put it in B, C tier. Not bad at all. This is my comprehensive list of all the things that you can do to make money. Let's focus on the S tier. Take a look at them one more time. Getting driver referrals is a great way to make money. If you could do that for a living, that's pure profit. Finding the right hotels and resorts to pick up was a great way to get tips, quality rides, consistency, knowing your city and driving as often as possible is a great way to make more money. Holidays, multi-apping, bar closing, non-W-2 income, no car payment is critical. I love short trips and short pickup distances. Maximizing your profitability, surge pricing, of course. Things to avoid off-app rides. That's a good way to just lose the gig. Policy reform, as if government's going to solve anything. Selling extra stuff in your car sounds really tacky. Same with tip psyops, trying to trick passengers into tipping you. A verified rider doesn't mean anything. Driving fast is risky. The heat maps don't mean anything. And taking legal action. Yes, there are times to sue these big companies, but is it going to make you more money? I don't think so. That is my list. Drivers, please be safe, healthy, and happy. Be well. Bye.